Welcome, welcome everyone. It's Thursday, which means it's the Empowering Healthy Women little 30-minute get together. Lovely to see all your faces. Hello, Miss Lindy. And Lori. Lori, my tooth fixer saver. It's not there anymore. It's gone. So, can you hear us, Lori? Lori can't hear us. I don't know what's going on over there. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good.
I can hear you, yes.
Awesome. So this is our little 30-minute check-in to just kind of chat about what's going on in our lives and things that are interesting to us girlies that the guys don't care about so much. You know, this stuff doesn't bother them so much. But my partner in crime, Miss Liddy Flom, up there with her pretty blonde hair. Hello.
And glasses that look like I have a snowstorm in my glasses. That's because good. Of this lighting situation.
I love it. That's good. As long as the snowstorm isn't really there, like, you know, because we were just in Minnesota together. Got it? So, yeah, it was a little cold. So good though. It's 90, I don't know, what is it here today? It's ridiculously hot. So, I am glad that you're here. I know I don't look that swollen. I just had my tooth pulled, so it's all good. It's healing. And Liddy said, you know, I think we should talk about aspiring higher. We should talk about moving us up to the next level. And I said, I think that is a totally awesome idea. Although one thing that we have to overcome to be able to do that is fear. And so we just kind of chatted about how things would look tonight. And so she said, let's do some really great quote ideas. And so I'm going to start with this, and then I'm going to, actually, I can't decide which one I want to start with. Is that crazy that we have so many that I can't decide? So sometimes we look at fear, right? And we say, what is fear anyway? So let's just say that first, right? Is fear a real, fear of something that's coming up, really? I mean, really, what is it? It's fear of we're going to spontaneously combust, we're going to die, something's going to happen, something terrible is going to happen. We create all of these things that really don't exist, right? Because until something happens, it hasn't happened. So what do we have to be fearful of? All of the stories that we make up, all of the things that, you know, mom said, be careful, right? So we are afraid of things. Dad said, don't do that, or you might break your arm. So now we're fearful. We fall off a horse when we're a kid and we break a leg. And so we have two stories we can tell ourselves. Is that if you ride a horse, you're going to break your leg. Or if you ride a horse, you just hold on tighter next time. Right? So we can tell ourselves two stories in which way it's totally up to us every single time, whether or not we want to live in the fear or live in the possibility. And so if we're not really living, so this is a quote from Maya Angelou. And so what is the fear of living? It's being preeminently afraid of dying. It is not doing what you came here to do out of timidity or spinelessness. The antidote is to take full responsibility for yourself, for the time you take up and the space you occupy. If you don't know what you're here to do, then just do something good. Not a cool quote. So being preeminently afraid of dying. So if we're constantly fearful that we're going to die, how are we ever living fully? There's no way that we can, right? So, Lydia, I'm just going to let you chime in, and if anybody's got anything to add in, or we're just going to dialogue tonight. So if anybody's got something coming up, would love to hear from everybody.
Well, I just think that a couple of things that you already mentioned is like the fear of something. And, you know, I think that fear actually represents itself as the false evidence, you know, just appearing real. So I guess what the time in my life that I discovered that that's, you know, a new way of looking at the word fear, that it's false, already it's false. And so it's something that we made true. And that we start living our lives in this small confined space of something. And when that happens, we actually give up courage. So I started looking at the word courage, in these years of like being bold enough, that I can't go beyond existing if I am in a space of resisting. So I needed to stop resisting possibility. I needed to stop fearing. And then I started looking at this word courage. And I think that Brene Brown talks all about this. I mean, there's so many people talking about, motivational speakers talking about, fear, but having courage. Courage means to face maybe something that you've been not willing to face. So we're not willing to face the real truth, or not willing to face reality, and not willing to face that. So we fear everything. And then we live in this world of, I say hostage. We feel hostage to life. We feel hostage to all possibility. And well, that works for them. But you know what? I just don't know if I believe. And so then we give up belief. And belief then, puts us in another confined space. So then we attract, that into our lives. And everybody that doesn't believe something, so now we listen to this chatter and we kind of expose ourselves to all this drama. And then we make that some new truth. And so as I was, looking at, what we're going to talk about tonight, and you were asking some questions, and I have this book on my desk, and it actually said a call to courageous living. And I went like, oh, that would be an interesting topic. So then I actually went and pulled a book off my shelf. Honest to God, here's what it is. It says, Great Men Bow Down. I opened the book and it opens to page 135. Guess what it says? Courage. And so can I just say this, maybe to everybody on the call tonight, that in preparing for life and what needs to be shared, it isn't any more difficult than just say, what should I be speaking about? I mean, I don't know what I should be talking about. And then this is a couple quotes. So it says, courage is contagious. Just as fear would be contagious, so courage is contagious. When a brave man takes a stand, the spines of others are often stiffened. So we are going to be able to give somebody some bravery, if you will, and through our courageousness that we say, well, if they're brave enough and they have courage to do that, well, then why wouldn't I be able to do that? Or I could align with that. And I just think about like so many, forefathers, we could say, that have gone before us, boldly, courageously said, you know what, I have this like passion, compassion in my heart. And think of Mother Teresa. Here she was in Calcutta, and with all these poor people, and she just gave, love. And she just boldly went there. Said, how am I going to survive here? But she thrived in a place of where just, survival was. And so if we would just stop resisting, that we could go beyond existing. And so that's just what just came to my mind as you were just saying that, that quote that you were just quoting, and just opening up this book and then just realizing that the messages are there before us. So what happened to me is like going from fear to courage, and being courageous is actually bust through that wall of fear. And if you're not strong enough and you don't feel confident in that, then you call up somebody and say, you know what, I have this idea, I just want to be bold and courageous in this area, but I have fear in that area. And now you bring in two people together, and then it's like four people coming together, and then it's like a group, and then you got a team, and then you got, women's empowerment, calls, and then you go to women's empowerment seminars, and then you got like all these, wonderful things that manifest. So I believe that we're manifesting every day, and that we're just joining. So that's my thoughts in the moment.
I love it. It's funny how when we start to think about, when a topic comes to me, typically, the message just happens all of a sudden. And it just seems like it's something that's happened all day long, or it's been a constant message. And so it's funny that it crops up and then it crops up again. And no question that, one of my mentors says it inevitably, living through your fear, stepping through your fears is living in your uncomfortableness, right? So living outside your comfort zone. And it's not even, he talks about the uncomfortable zone, but really it's the unknown zone is when we're really living into our fear, because we have no idea. We're just trusting that everything's going to work in our favor, because that's the intention that we put out. So no question, every single bit of spice of sexiness in life, of good progress, of all of that stuff lives just 1 second after that feeling of fear, if you step through it. But on the other side, regret and depression and dismay live on this side of it, because then all we do is sit back and tell story. So which side of that do you want to live on? And I've challenged myself to constantly sort of live in a state of the unknown zone, or in the uncomfortable space. I'm always pushing my comfort zone. And it's funny that you brought up, the spines of men stiffen. So I think of that, and when you bring that up, it was funny because we were just driving in the car the other day, and we talked about the Marianne Williamson quote, which is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Mm-hmm. So I think of the spine stiffening, and then I go, okay, I like the Marianne Williamson side. It's that with the little love put in, right? A little love sprinkled in there. So I love that. So where do we want to live? What do you want to manifest? What do you want to create? Because sitting back and hoping and wanting and desiring, but being afraid of getting into action, because gosh, what might somebody think about me? Or what if I fail? What if I fail? Everyone's going to think I'm a failure.
Mm-hmm. Jojo, that quote that I actually shared was from Billy Graham.
Oh.
And another one that is here from Theodore Roosevelt. And Theodore Roosevelt said that we are face to face. We are face to face with our destiny, and we must meet it with a high and resolute courage. For us is the life of action, of strenuous performance and of duty. Let us live in the harness, striving mightily, and let us rather run the risk of wearing out than rusting out, by Theodore Roosevelt. So, kind of just looking at, if we could, I liked a couple of words that he actually shared, is let us live in the harness, striving mightily. So if we actually looked at, there's some rain over us, right? And we can say R-A-I-N or R-E-I-G-N, rain over us, that there are some ways for us to live face to face with our destiny, face to face with, going to that higher resolute of courage. So I just think that we're not designed to be alone, but we're here to find our passion and then, live that bravely through sisterhood, we could call it brotherhood, that we are aligning with those that are compelled. I mean, if you have a project that you're compelled to do, you have to find people that are going to be compelled to do, partner on that level. And so I just think about the women that are on these calls, Lindy, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking to myself, and Lori, I'm looking at you and thinking to myself, and, Katja and Mary and Jojo. And it's just like everybody that's here. I mean, Marnie, I'm not seeing you, but I see your face when I just know your voice is out there. But, that we all have something to do. So the question is, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? That's to live life like, what can I do for you?
And a servant's heart.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Ernest Hemingway said that courage is grace under pressure. Ooh. Courage is grace under pressure. So courage means is that you have to know that that's the gift we've been given. And so if we're gonna, look at going past that bravery of courage, we just have to really know where you stand in terms of the gift that you've already been given. So put a little pressure.
The question is, has anybody ever been fully successful that hasn't failed at something?
Mm-hmm.
Almost never. There might be a random fluke to that, where there's been somebody who's hit it on the first try and hasn't fallen, but it would be rare. So that if you're out there and you're doing and you're failing, is it a fail? So we either win or we learn, right? And if we're not in action, then we don't have the opportunity to fail. So that keeps us kind of stuck in our little comfort zone. Keeps us safe, so we never have to worry about what anybody's thinking of us or what the terrible things that we say to ourselves. How many of us I am ourselves to death? I am stupid. I am not worthy. I am not, instead of all the I ams that build us up. And we create from a positive space. Most of the time, we I am ourselves in the mirror, not being good enough. Mm-hmm. And I would say to us that if you're out there doing it, and this is a big lesson that I've learned, that if you're out there doing it, that no one has any space to say anything to you, right? Their opinion actually doesn't really count. Because what I see is that if somebody's brave enough to step up and do anything, I don't care what it is, step through their fear, stand on a stage, speak, reach out to somebody who it may seem uncomfortable to, I don't care what the smallest or biggest gesture is. If you do it, even if you fail, I honor you for taking the step. I honor you for putting yourself on the stage, because I have a lot of people who I will see criticize who are sitting back and watching. And that thought brought up, it's funny that you brought up Teddy Roosevelt, and Brene Brown, because as she talks about daring greatly, her quote from Teddy Roosevelt that really stands with me a lot is that it's not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, but there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those who with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So it's always that thought for me when I am afraid of standing up or worried about what others might think, or, and going, I have the little like monster that goes on. Uh-oh, hope they like me. Uh-oh, hope they like me, right? Whenever the like monster is going on, I always remember that. No matter what, I'm always going to put myself out there. And if someone's opinion from watching is low, that it doesn't matter anyway. I don't hold space for that. I hold space for the people who lift and join me and take and step in action. You guys know, like, I don't know how many people have seen me do this, but this is something I learned. I'm going to show you guys. So everybody have a piece of paper. So take a piece of paper, draw a line directly down the middle. And on the left side of that line, write the word in big letters, action. So right there, write action. Line, and on the other side of that, think of all those negative feelings. So somebody shout out some negative feelings. So let's say, join in, guys.
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Worry.
Worry. Depression.
Frustration.
Frustration.
Scarcity.
Scarcity. Good words. Fear. Doubt.
Ambivalent.
Ambivalence. Glad you're not judging me on my spelling right now as I'm writing this out. Okay. Let's see. Anything else anybody can think of? Doubt, fear, sadness.
Unbelief.
Unbelief.
Judgment.
Judgment.
Here it is.
Did someone say distrust?
Distrust. That's a good one too. So all of these are very low emotions. In fact, Michelle just posted up a really great visual of high vibrational feelings and low vibrational feelings and how we spiral up or how we spiral down. So all of those feelings are low vibrational for sure. And action is an interesting thing because you'll see probably in the chart, it may not show it as action, but it probably shows it as progress. I don't have it in front of me, but I would bet that it's something similar to that, right? So let me find, here, how about, should we use my Jerry summons? No, let's not do that. Get that. Terrible, right? How dare them send that to me. Okay.
Low vibration.
Right? It is totally low vibrational. Get rid of that thing. Okay. I guess that could be positive or negative. I'm going to choose to see it as a positive so we can go help people. All right. So on this side, we have all of our low vibrational words, and on this side, we have action, right? So when we are feeling sad, anxious, frustrated, doubt, and we get into action, there's no way that all of those words can exist. So this could be progress, this could be forward, this could be up, this could be any action word. I don't care, I'm just going to put action in there. And so you'll see that when you start to feel these ways again and you start to doubt, if you go, okay, how much action am I in? You'll see that you probably aren't in very much action. Get back into action and you start to feel that. I mean, like, so for us, it's, me, when I'm coaching people, when I'm bringing new people in, when I have new people having great experiences, none of that can exist because we're all in action. when things are lagging and not going so good. I'm starting to doubt myself. Is this really for me? Guess what I'm feeling? And guess what I'm not doing? I am not in action every single time. So I thought I'd say that. Just I don't know where that came from today, but what do you think? True? Not true?
Yeah.
Opinion? So I think of that when I start to feel those icky, low vibrational things of how in action am I, and how out of fear am I, even if I'm feeling the fear. I don't know if anybody's read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I always get Melissa Gilbert and Elizabeth Gilbert mixed up. I'm two totally different people, but so I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert, right? She says that she thinks of all of her emotions as these little passengers on the bus. And everybody loads onto the bus. So fear and doubt and happiness and cheerful and all these little, emotions pile onto the bus. And as they sit down, somebody has to drive the bus. And so she looks in the back and says, okay, fear, you're allowed to be on the bus, but you are not allowed to drive anymore. You can come along and you can remind me, but you are not allowed to drive. And so I always think of that as I go on, that I don't let fear drive my bus anymore. This is her cute little analogy that I've adopted as my own.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Can we do anything without the fear? Yeah, nah. It's always going to be there. It's whether you choose to step through it or not that makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And the grit support system is always helpful. Give you a little push when you need it. Like Dad kicked us into the deep end when we were kids, right? Kind of like that. But nicer and sweeter. A little more love. Cool. Thoughts? Liddy? Michelle? Anybody?
I see that everybody might be actually still on mute, Jojo. So maybe it is that you want to open it up.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I think
Everybody
that
can.
great thoughts out there. I see faces and yes.
All right, you're all unmuted. You all have access always to unmute yourself too.
Yeah, this is Marnie, and this is a great topic, because it's something we all struggle with. And one of the things that, especially me anticipating, having a second baby at my age, there's a little bit of fear about it, but one of the things God keeps reminding me is just that faith is what contends for fear. So they vie for the same position. And so anyway, and what is faith? It's confident expectation. It's where you know that God intends for good for you. And so it just helps me anchor to that. And I think there's a scripture in Ephesians 3 where it talks about he gives abundantly above all that we could ask or imagine. And so it's like, okay, that's my anchor. Confident expectation that God fully intends to give me more than I could even imagine. And so then I can step into faith.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good for you and congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's exciting. I love that. Faith contempts the fear. I love it. I wrote that down. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but it's going to come up somewhere, I promise. All right, one last comment before we hit our 6 o'clock mark. Everyone's there.
I'd like to make a comment.
Yeah.
One of the things that I struggle with is, as I was growing up, I was always like, blah, blah, and I wanted to be like in everything and do everything and go everywhere and, be with my cousins and be with my aunts. And it was always, no, stop. No, you can't do this. No, 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 no. And I'm finding now that as I'm an adult and a mature adult, I like to think, I still find myself like when I'm ready to just bust out and shine, it's like, oh, no, no, no. And I was having a conversation with somebody this morning about that. And she kept going, why do you keep holding yourself back? And I went into meditation and I kept seeing fingers.
Wow.
Like this coming at me. And I was like, ugh. So I love that you did that one quote about we're not afraid of, our shadow. We're more afraid of our light. And doing that. And I find that with a lot of my clients and stuff too, it's like shine, shine, shine. And I'm so happy you said, you guys are talking about today about when you shine, you give other people permission to shine. And it's like, I know that, and I even speak that sometimes, but it was so wonderful to hear that tonight, because it's like, okay, let's shine. And I like to be in front of people, and I like to speak, and I like to teach, and I like to be, ta-da! And it's wonderful to have that reminder that it's okay. And shining is beautiful, because it's not just about us, especially when you're walking a spiritual path and you're living with that spiritual connection and that faith in God and all that God provides for us. We do it, we shine humbly, if you will, where we can really shine, but we shine in a humble and in a way that is in service to others. So I thank you so much. This was really cool.
Thank you.
This was really good.
And I would never know that you're feeling that inside, because that is not the way I see you. I see you like, ta-da! Right? So you would never know that there's the other thing going on the inside.
All the time.
Yeah. See, we all have different perspectives or perceptions of each other, right? So always, because, but thank you for sharing that. And I do. I realize that we spend a lot of time going back and living out our parents' fears. Yeah. And a lot of times it's a really good exercise to go, okay, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is that my belief, or is that someone else's belief that was fed to me and I adopted? Because a lot of them aren't ours. You know that, right? So that's
This is
incredible.
my topic for today. I picked up this book. I knew I just needed to sit down and get quiet and just read. And I listened to 10 minutes of a call that said, it was Jennifer Lancaster, and she was saying that she was on chapter 3 of Excuses Be Gone by Wayne Dyer. Like, I bought that book, but I haven't even looked at it. I've had it for like 3 or 4 months. And wow, I mean, just what we're talking about. And there's these memes, and there's these built-in things that we have that it's not a cell, you can't measure it, but it's there, and it comes through other people's thought, and that we're affected by being around other people's thoughts. And it's like, that's why it's important that who you hang around and who's thinking what they're thinking. If you're around negative, you get negative. If you're around positive, you get positive, and how important that is. And I thought this was interesting. It says, memes die hard because they've become who you think you are. Shutting them is like trying to discard one of your vital organs. And it taps your energy. I'm like, I get that, So just but you can. It's like your DNA can repair. So we can repair these thoughts that we're born with, that we grow up with, and get these things in our head. So there's hope.
Good stuff.
Chapter 1 done.
And what's the name of the book?
It's called Excuses Be Gone.
Excuses Be Gone. Away with you.
Right.
Okay.
By Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Thank you. We've broken our rule by going 5 minutes over, so shame on us. But that's all good. And so know that, and I will leave you with this thought, because it's on my brain, that when we are concerned about us, when we're concerned about how we look, when we're concerned about us failing, when we're concerned about us, that is all ego. There's no service in ego. And so if we really say that we're here to serve others, we really say that we're here that this is about them, right? This is really about them and how we can support and uplift. It has nothing to do with us. Nothing. So when we're making it about us, we're all in ego.
Let it go.
Let it go, for sure. Hello, Miss Trudy. Good to see your face.
Hey, hi, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good. I was traveling back from a meeting and Liddy sent me a little text, so here I am.
Nice. So
Love
good
you.
to see your face.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. Liddy, I'll let you give a goodbye and we'll go kisses.
It's I want to say, next week we'll continue a topic, and I think that everyone that's on this call, if you have a topic that you would like to cover, and of course it's just an invitation for those of you just to kind of like join and have your team join and so on. So it's just great to have all of you on the call this evening and have some interaction. Because this is kind of like this masterminding, like be brave enough. And I just go back to that, quote that Billy Graham just shared is like, really taking a look at when you're courageous enough that it helps, stiffen up the spines of other people. And it gives us the ability to walk boldly and to walk in faith and trust and follow. And those that know where they're going, I'd rather, if I had to go follow somebody in a dark alley, I would take the one that's courageous. I promise you. Because somehow they're going to brave the storm, right? And they're going to like come out like looking like their light is still shining. So I love the share that Michelle, shared as well. And that we all just kind of like take a look at that, just staying humble, but still don't lose your faith and don't lose that vision of possibility. So love you all. It's just great to be on this call. Thank you.
I have a question for you guys. Did you already do the colors personality thing?
No, we didn't. I believe that on the 19th, we have Laura set up to do that. She's been traveling, so we kind of missed out on that. But I think we had her set up on the 19th. But if we're going to continue this one next week, maybe we'll do Laura the week after. So if we're going to continue on a roll and where we're at, and I love the thought of going further and shining our light and aspiring higher. So I think it's a good space. So we are really over, and I'm in a bad girl. I'm going to spank myself later. So thank you all for being on. If you haven't, make sure that I think you're all on the Facebook page. So Empowering Healthy Women. I don't know if you're there, Trudy, but if not, I'll add you in if you like. And Marnie, not sure if you're there, but it's Empowering Healthy Women on Facebook. And you can just go in and join. You'll see all the little picture of all the little girlies holding hands. So thank you all for all of your input and for being on tonight. I appreciate all of your lovely faces.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Big kisses.
Love you.